have one bone to pick that I was so jealous of with you.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let me just say, I didn't pick my team. They came in and you were part of that, the interview. The kids never did 5, 6, 7, 8, let's dance. It wasn't a chorus line. And had it been like that, there would have been different kids in the original cast.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I'm getting to? Yes.
Yeah.
And I had some older kids, John Michael Fumara, Jesse Johnson, Emily Burkhart. I had these amazing kids who all went on to dance professionally, who've had wonderful careers, who still are working. And they would have been on the show if I was picking, and their mothers were crazy too. What difference did it make? So I could go way back to Gianna's mom and her group, her small group. They were nuts. We could have done the show every 5 years. And so many things I would have done differently. Those every 5 years, a kid would have aged out. Once you turned 14, you were done.
Yeah.
And a new kid should have been brought on.
Yeah.
So that it was a constant, people wouldn't have gotten so attached to that original cast. It would have kept evolving.
Right.
Or we would have had a teen team, an older team. So you got to pick your team in your studio. And it didn't matter what their mothers look like, because that's what my thing was always like, well, their mothers are too homely. Their mother's this. I remember Kira Gerard, they had to make her move her.
Oh my God, some of them were butt ugly. Some of them were butt ugly when I first picked that first team. I'm serious. And they had no stage personality at all. No presence on stage or nothing.
You didn't care. You were just concerned about the kids dancing.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to beat you.
Touche.
So I mean, and they held like a little audition, and took the kids and the moms back in, and went through a series of.
They were your kids from your studio.
Yeah, my kids. They went through like a series of screen testing.
And you got to push for who you wanted.
I got to pick who I wanted, and it was like,
and I didn't.
I'm taking all my title. I'm taking all my title kids.
Right.
So that's why I took them.
So I was furious that I have Tweedledee and Tweedledum and you get to pick your title kids. Come against me. Like, it just was not, I don't want to use the word fair.
Yes, but Abby, my kids stood on dimes and did fouettes, and you still won with an apple basket.
Well, yeah.
And a snood.
I know. My biggest claim to fame, when people ask what my favorite number was, I still go back to Where Have All the Children Gone? Because
that was a good number.
Because I got to win a dance competition with a kid in a swing and another kid pushing them. And I was like, who gets away with that crap? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that would ever, like, that to me, that was like my saving grace there with that. But then you get a boys team. And I have been trying to get a boy on my team. John Michael was perfect. His mother was perfect. And I tried, but he was too old for the kids. And then I tried to get a kid named Nick on there. Like, I kept trying because, as you well know, I teach a lot of guys. And I have made some guys very famous, and they've had great lives. Much more so than Pittsburgh and where they grew up. I feel like they really made it. Look at Mark Myers. He's an associate choreographer. He's all over the world. It's a pandemic and he's in Hong Kong setting Wicked by himself. Like, I've had some kids do some great things, and I love teaching guys. And you had an all boys team.
And honestly, that was my favorite season. I loved those boys, and I liked some of the dads. They were a lot of fun, and that was my favorite season. And I was very sad when it started to evolve, that I was pulling in different people. There is a season that I didn't like at all, and that's when I had a lot of John's kids, and they were good dancers. That's when I had the Morales kids, and I had the boy from John, your friend John, the dazzling teeth.
John Culbertson,
yeah. I had a couple of his kids, and they were good dancers, but I just didn't feel like there was a chemistry with me and them. And season 3 by far. And when they did Machine Line, oh my goodness, that was a good number. That was probably my favorite number.
Machine line.
Machine line was where the boys would they would dance for money, and they kind of had that look about them that was like during the Depression, and we were in,
Oh,
I
yeah,
can tell you where we were.
yeah,
We were in
yeah.
Detroit. We were in Detroit when they did that at Energy. And
Oh, don't
you
get me
were
started
sitting
on her.
behind me with Jeanette Coda before she was even on your team.
Well, I dragged her in to interview over and over and over. She somehow forgets that because they didn't like her. I mean, she was beautiful and stunning and tall and looked like a dancer, but she had nothing. And it took her, I mean, I kept dragging her in. I missed my senior company's dinner between the matinee and the evening show of my huge recital, our dance concert, because of her in an interview, because she came late and I had to wait, and I missed my whole senior company of kids that have been paying me since they were 3 years old for her.
Yeah.
Well, she had some hardships herself, so I don't want to
Yeah.
go that road.
Yeah, she
But
has.
now, what would you have done differently if you could go back in your business, for your business?
Because of the show or just overall?
No, with the show, with Dance Moms coming into your studio, like what, if you could have done something differently? And then you ask me, because I have a list.
Well, again, Abby, you did it day in and day out, and I didn't. And when
They
they
only
would
came
come,
like for a week and invaded you.
well, but when they would come in, they didn't do to me what they did to you, because I would look at them and say, this stuff comes down at 3. I'm leaving at 10 till 3 to go get Vivi. You wrap everything up. And I would walk out. And they, I'm not trying to say that I was something special, because I wasn't, but they would do whatever I said because they wanted me on the show. And they,
and I should have used that tactic sooner. Like,
I mean,
you don't have a show, you don't have a job, you're done. You want to see the moms? Go ahead.
I would just say to them, you got to go. You got to go. I'm done. And they would never push it. They would never push it, because at 3:30, my staff would come in, and there would be you wouldn't even be able to tell. The thing that I would have done, I know, right? The thing that I would have probably done differently, and I don't know how I would have done it. I didn't get to do my own choreography because of the window of time that I was in. I mean, you know, best of anybody, that you had a window this big to learn a dance this big. And the kids would go back to the hotel and they would work on the dance. Well, I was teaching in real life. I was teaching from 4 to 9. So I couldn't then go at 9 o'clock over to their hotel and work with them, because I had a child that had to go to bed, and I had to get up the next morning and film and work. So, I would have loved to have been able to do my own choreography. And that's why when Erin came in and started, because she's a product of me, it felt more like it was me. But I don't know how I would have done that differently because of the time element that they gave you.
Right. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I was working, I feel like I slept maybe 3-4 hours a night, be filming, interviewing, running my studio, trying to run the front desk and the books and all of that, failing miserably at that, teaching at my own studio. I mean, the day that the people, including you, were cast on that show, your child had to be homeschooled. That would have been number one.
Yeah, which I refused.
Everybody would have been homeschooled.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at the pandemic. Look what just happened. Every kid in the world was homeschooled, and it wasn't the end of the earth. It was all fine.
That is true.
I would have made everybody be homeschooled. Number one. When Michael Hammond stood at my front desk and ripped up those contracts that I had, getting a lousy little 10% of all of those kids, if I got them a job modeling in a costume catalog or, a little fashion show or something, and they got paid $500, I got 50. And he ripped it up and said, oh, you're not going to need these for the kids anymore. Yes, I do. Now I do. Because now I have to pay for healthcare privately out of pocket for the rest of my life. I do. And it was just rude of him to do that. That was my own thing with my students before they ever came to my studio. If my dad was alive, he would have punched that Satan right in the face.
And look where he's at today, huh?
Yeah, talking to me like that and doing those things and just all of that behind my back stuff. Filming in my lobby, not letting the kids into the building. You know,
I saw that. I saw that with my own eyes. I saw the kids getting pushed aside so they could come through. I saw that.
And it was awful.
And
awful.
They didn't, and Abby, they didn't do that at all at my studio. I would have thrown a fit. You threw a fit. I saw you tell them not to walk on your floor, this, that, and the other, but they didn't do it. They didn't dare do it, I guess, because I mean,
why am I such,
I don't know why. I don't know why.
I'm not a user, but I get used, and it's like sucker right on my forehead. I don't know why. And you know, the first season, 8 months or whatever they were there, no, they didn't even pay one utility bill. And they were there from 7 o'clock in the morning until midnight sometimes.
Yeah.
So my studio would have been 4:30, 4 o'clock, let's say. 4 o'clock, it turned back into a regular studio, and I would have never lost any of those kids.
Yeah.
I would have had a thriving studio. And there was another show called Bring It that the same network did. And she had all her kids in the numbers. Like 30 kids were in the number, but only 5 were featured with 5 moms.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why aren't my other kids getting to?
And they could have totally done that. They could have totally done that.
Right. And it would have been in writing. And every parent in my studio on my competition team would have had it, that they could go to any competition free, no entrance fee. They could go do their solos whenever we were close by. They could have had opportunities, because not everybody wanted to air their dirty laundry on a television show.
Right.
Especially
right.
when it was first starting. There were moms, there were kids, you know damn well that there were kids who were much more talented than the kids that got put on the show in my studio. Much more talented. But their parents were airline pilots or lawyers or school teachers, and they didn't want that. But they wanted their child to have some opportunities. They wanted their child to have time with me, that extra time. And those people came to me and they said, Abby, what are you doing? You've worked so hard to make a name for yourself in the world, in the dance community. And now you're going to reward the women who sit upstairs and degrade you and rip on your choreography and call other people's children ugly and homely. And you're rewarding these people. They're getting a job and they don't even pay their bills. They don't respect you. They don't follow your rules. And you're giving their kid more time, more energy with you. And our kid gets nothing, and we're paying our bills, and we respect you and we follow the contract. So it was a really, hard time for me. Do I do this or don't I do this?
Yeah.
And I wasn't on the show when it first started. You know that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the sinister minister waltzed in and did her thing, and I called 911, and that suddenly, the network was like, well, who's this woman? And they were like, well, that's Abby. You've been using her studio for free for a year. And they were like, oh, well, now we found the glue that holds this all together. So that's my tale of woe, but so many things would have been done differently. And, people think Maddie, and I want to show this in the most positive light that I can. People don't realize that her mother was going and getting her out of school in the daytime, bringing her to the studio. She was learning her solo off camera. Nobody knew she was there. My friend from this High School for the Creative and Performing Arts was working with her on her acting twice a week, every week. I was making nothing on that. The mother was paying the teacher directly. I was letting them use my studio, of course. And all of that was going on. So it wasn't about being the favorite. It was about, we need somebody that can know the dance. They can remember that 2 minutes on that stage. We need a kid that can do that. So it wasn't necessarily that kid. It was that kid made herself available, and other kids couldn't miss school. Poor Nia couldn't get there till 5 o'clock. We were waiting on Holly in traffic downtown to get her, you know, with Vivi, what it was with the school and the juggling and all this craziness.
Yeah.
And I just think people don't realize that that's what was going on.
Well, yeah, they clearly don't know. I mean, we could talk for hours about behind scenes because people just they didn't get to see that and know what the reality really was of the reality.
Right. And trying to run a business and keep people happy when your kid's standing out in the snow and nobody will let her in the door.
Yeah.
You know, she's 7 trying to pull the door open and a big grown man, 6'3", is on the other side holding the door shut, you know? And I didn't know what was going on. I was filming. I was in a studio teaching, just like I didn't know what was going on with my books all the time. So we could revisit this. We got to get going. But thank you so much for coming on today. I wish you nothing but the best. And is your husband still in the meat industry?
You know, he is not. We get that all the time. In fact, some of the producers have reached out and said about, you know, can they get some jerky? He doesn't do that anymore. Okay. No, that was very short-lived.
Yes, but it was fun. I guess while it lasted, it was fun. Yes. Now, is Vivi with you?
Vivi is. Go get her because I wanted her to come and say hello.
Are you in your living room?
I am. I'm in my living room. That's why I kept shifting, because first I would be sitting on my legs and then they'd fall asleep and then I'd have to sit on my butt and then my butt would get tired. So
well, don't tell me about your butt getting tired, because my tailbone area, your sit bones where you sit, feels like, you know, the lighter that you light the grill with, like from the dollar store, you flick that thing.
Yeah.
Someone has fire flames on my tailbone all the time.
Goodness.
It's like, that's the only way I can describe it, is somebody has a lighter and they're just going like this over my tailbone and the lower part of my spine, my lumbar region.
Well, Abby, I do want to tell you that there's been many times that in fact, I don't know if you saw it, but I recently wrote to you, texted you on your phone. It was like in March. Maybe I don't have your right phone number. It was a phone number that somebody gave me, and it said, come as a text message, because I texted you a while ago and said I wanted to talk to you about a couple things that were going on between us, and someday we can talk about that, because it had something to do with something that happened. And then I wrote to you because I caught your interview on Entertainment Tonight, and I wrote to you to tell you.
I never got any of that.
Oh, okay. Well, so I'll have to.
Michael will get you my number, and then
because I sent to you that I was, you know, sending you good wishes, and that I caught and there's been many times that I've wanted to send you flowers and just thought, oh, should I do that? Is she gonna, you know, is she gonna be like, ah? But you know, this was nice.
No, I wouldn't be. Nice. I'm just not a flower person. Don't waste your money. They die, you know, and it reminds me of a funeral home. But yeah, only one mom reached out, Jill. Oh, hey.
Hi.
Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. Every day is a struggle. But yes. And how old are you now?
16.
Wow.
Yeah.
You drive?
She's
no, not yet. Not yet.
Are you kidding me? I'm not going to put my baby on the road. No, I think that Vivi sees my road rage and doesn't want to follow in my footsteps. She's a varsity cheerleader.
I am a great driving teacher. If I was closer, I would drive out and teach. You know why? Because I always said, when I'm finished teaching dance, I'm going to teach driver's ed, because I can sit on my butt and yell at teenagers. Like, I've got this. I've been doing this for years.
That sounds like a plan.
Yes. So, and I drive with my hands now. So,
oh, do you?
Yeah. This hand is the wheel and this hand is the gas and the brake.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, if kids today, like your 16-year-old, had to learn with their hands, there's no phone, there's no texting, there's no French fry. You can't take your hands off of anything. You can't even roll the window down. It's hard.
Does the car come like that, or do you have to have that type of equipment installed?
Cathy, I had to trade in a Porsche that I bought when I turned 50, my Porsche, for a Dodge van.
Oh.
It was devastating. And then, so there's only 2 vans in the US that they can outfit like this. In Europe, they're Mercedes. Here, I don't know why they're not, but there's like a Dodge and something else. and you have to have it outfitted. So I drive where the van door opens on the side, like a soccer mom van.
Yeah.
I drive up the ramp and then into the driver's side. And my wheelchair has this big pin mechanism in the bottom, and they fit it onto the bottom of the van. And I drive in and not so nice on the crotch with the catheter.
Oh, wow.
And it locks me in.
Yeah.
And then I hit a button 3 times and it changes all the car to your hands instead of the gas
wow.
or the brake. But if you're ever in the car with me, on the other side, in the passenger side, there's a brake, an emergency brake to hit. In case
Oh,
someone
okay.
would, like, pass out or something. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Abby, you are a true survivor.
Well, thank you. I'm sick and tired of being tough and being a survivor, and you're going to get through this. I just want to, get up and walk
Well,
into the wall.
you're a vivacious person, and that makes complete sense why you're contained right now. So
I'm trying. Like I said, every day is a struggle. People don't realize, and I don't want to talk in front of your 16-year-old, but when you see people in a wheelchair, you never know what's going on between like your waist and your knees, like that whole crotch, feminine, all that stuff. I never realized.
yeah.
Shame on me. I never realized. And I would say, oh, I feel so bad for that person. They can't get up the curb, or they have trouble getting in the car or whatever. I never realized that going to the ladies' room was a huge issue. And it is. And it's heart-wrenching. But anyway, what are you up to, sweetheart? What are you doing?
There we go.
What are you up to, sweetheart? What are you
what does that
doing?
say?
Oh, I'm cheering,
It's not saying it's dying,
and
is it?
no, it said unstable connection. It's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, it's
now.
okay. We're good. We're
yeah,
good
it's
now.
good now. Well, I have cheer practice and golf practice, which I haven't started yet, and I'm dancing and stuff.
And
Just,
I'm
you
so
know.
proud that you are one of the few children, very few, that still dances and that you
Listen.
remain dancing.
My highlight of the competition season this year, and we didn't know whether we were even going to have a competition season, and so we didn't do it to the volume that we normally do. But I had a tap teacher who we're very fond of and think very highly of come and do a tap solo for Vivi. $900 later, 2 weeks before the competition, we decide that it's not her, it's not made for her, it's not tailor-made for Vivi. She learns in 2 days,
Yeah.
you learned a new solo with my tap teacher, who I do this to him all the time. I'll like bail on the dance that I get her and then have him do it. She was top soloist at one of our competitions for
Woo!
for 16 and
I
up.
placed at every competition.
Well, yeah, she
too.
placed at every competition, but she was top solo. So that was the highlight of my season,
Yeah.
because
Well,
we were over the
you
moon
look
that
similar.
happened.
You're grown up now, but and a good highlight to have during this year, right? Yes. But do you get recognized?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
God, yes.
Recently, it's been a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Like at some of my football games and basketball games, there
Yeah.
would be people that would
I mean, we
notice
were
me,
just in
so.
a restaurant in Akron over the weekend, and the entire back half of the restaurant were theater kids who were going ballistic.
Yeah.
They encompassed her. They all wanted selfies with me. We were at a fair on Thursday night with a ton of kids. I think that with COVID, there was a huge, big revitaled surge of dance moms.
Wait, say that again without that person in there. Go ahead.
That with
It's gonna
COVID.
Oh, okay. She's trying to plug it in.
Oh,
It's
we're
gonna die.
trying to plug our computer in because
Yeah.
it's going to die.
Okay.
But okay, hold on a minute. It's not going to reach. Erin is walking on her knees.
Nope.
No, it's not going to
Pull it
reach.
towards me a little bit. It's gonna die, so you don't want it to die.
Okay, hold on. It's going to die. Is it in?
It's in.
Okay. All right. So now we're sitting catty cornered. Okay. So now it says plugged in. Okay. So we're good. What was I saying?
About the resurgence of kids
Oh,
watching.
yeah. Like, I know that you're on Cameo and I am as well. And I get so many people that will say, we watched this during COVID. We binge watched this during COVID. So honestly, there's a whole new crop of people coming
Whole
up
new
that
crop
are
of
Dance
kids.
Mom fans.
And
We should be getting royalties.
Yeah, we should. Oh my God. If we were getting, come on, if we were getting residuals, I would be set for life. I mean, how many
Yeah.
episodes are out there? But the kids, I'm doing same thing, cameos for kids that are 7 years old that weren't even born when the show started.
Exactly.
7 years old to 65, 80-year-old women,
Yeah.
you know, that are fans. So I love that. And I think that we have both done so much for the dance industry, whether the other dance teachers want to admit it, whether the dance conventions and competitions and those hierarchy people want to ever give us kudos or not. We put dance competitions on the map. We opened up the whole world and introduced them to what these kids go through and what dance is all about. And how about the dance studios that now have private lessons because of us and my kids' moms fighting over those privates and all this and all that. I mean, come on.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Abby. And we should definitely pat ourselves on the back. And I have had dance teachers come up and say to me, wow, if it wasn't for Dance Moms, I wouldn't have had such a great registration. And I always think, yeah, well, you were not on the show, so you can have a big registration. But everybody over here is saying, is she really like that?
I know, same thing, depicted in such a horrible light. And I'm glad, I mean, you went through some crap. We both did. But I feel, like I said, I'm doing a life sentence because of the show, and all unnecessary between the staycation and the cancer and the subsequent paralysis. It was all because of the show. None of that would have ever happened, you know. And
well, stress. You were probably under an enormous amount of stress, and stress causes diseases.
It does. It does.
So,
you can get it from malaria. You can get it from Africa. Little boys under the age of 10 get Burkitt lymphoma. It's fatal, or stress. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So that's a whole nother conversation, but let's maybe revisit and talk. Please give my love to your mom and your husband. Vivi, it was great to see you, sweetheart. Keep dancing. And,
I'm gonna hold you to a part 2 for my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Is that good?
That's fine. Yes, absolutely.
All right.
We'll give you a shout out.
This has been nice.
Yes, it was really nice. Cathy, I'll see you. Bye, sweetheart. And give Aaron my best too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.